Okay, that should be working. Yes, it is. Yes, okay. Hey! Browser frustration. But we're back. We're live. We're good. Okay, let's start with the card of the day. Actually, I started with the book of the day. People who've been following this show for a long time have been seeing this book for a long time. So I'm going to show you why. Well, people who have learned to be happy found this book. I'll tell you when. A sacred room. We've spoken about our sacred cave before. Our man cave, our woman cave, our she shed. We have to have a place that is basically just for ourselves, even if it means just having a hole up in the bathroom for 15 minutes a day and make it yours. Sometimes in small and busy households, there just aren't a whole lot of options. If you can't find a place outdoors or the weather is bad, make yourself a spot indoors. Now, for many years, I rented furnished rooms. I lived in one room, shared everything else with one or two other people, and I was fine with that. But you know, when you are sharing space, you have to respect everyone's space. So my sacred space was naturally in my own room. In my case, I just had the occasion of just having either a dresser or a table, just a little, 1 square foot of speaker space. But I always found a place to light my candle. And in the old days, I also used to light incense. I don't do that anymore. But I've been lighting a candle. Well, now I'm lighting like 3 candles for all you guys too. So I've got a lot burning here, except the house. Thank goodness. We have to keep our fire, our inner light, alive one way or another. Whether it's literally a candle that we light every day or just on special occasions. The idea is that we have a space that is just for us. So here's a quote from 1580, from a man in 1580. Michel O.L.G.A. de Montaigne, I think that's how you say it. I don't know. But he said, all those years ago, we must reserve a back shop all our own, entirely free, in which to establish our real liberty and our principal retreat and solitude. It wasn't about a job, it wasn't about a hobby, it was about space to have your own soul, your own person, space, place where you work on yourself, place of reflection and introspection. So we all need that. Now today is, in my old religion, Yom Kippur. It's the most serious high holiday of the entire year. It is one where traditionally one confesses all of their sins to their God, or in this case just God, being Jewish. Hi, I am Bear. And asks, most importantly, the people whom they've wronged. It's not just something that you throw up into the heavens and say, please forgive me, assuming most men, whether honest or not, are going to say, okay, I'm forgiven by God. That's how it works. I ask and it is given, right? I say, I believe in you, and you say, I'm okay. That's the deal we have going. Don't mess it up. But we do, anyway. But people who are not being real clear, they don't want to admit that the real problem about committing a sin against someone, however you define it, is really the person involved. That is the person to whom you owe your apology to or your confession to. So basically, Yom Kippur today is a day of forgiveness, where you forgive yourself and you forgive others, and you ask for forgiveness. Excuse me. And first you ask forgiveness from your fellows whom you have done something bad to, obviously, or need forgiveness from. And then you ask God. God might forgive you, but I won't. Well, that's not very big of you, is it? Fortunately, I don't seek forgiveness from you. And I actually don't seek forgiveness because that's not an issue for me. For some people, it is a big issue. Okay. Edith Wharton said something wonderful. There are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. Let nature be your teacher. A light broke in upon my brain. It was the carol of a bird. It ceased, and then it came again, the sweetest song ear ever heard. That was Lord Byron. Emily Dickinson enjoyed one of the qualities of light. Phosphorescence, she wrote. Now there's a word to lift your hat to, she wrote. To find that phosphorescence, that light within, that's the genius behind poetry. I don't know how this man's name is pronounced. Rothke. Closer to our time, Theodore Roethke pointed out, the word outleaps the world, and light is all. On a more personal note, he wrote, light listened when she sang. Wow. Light listened when she sang. Which brings us to one of the favorite poetical uses of light, to describe one's beloved. The most famous perhaps is Shakespeare's, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Robert Burns was a bit more, well, Scottish with the light of love. The golden hours on angel wings flew o'er me and my dearie, for dear to me as light and life was my sweet Highland Mary. Well, I am petty. Depending on what you do, it might not be forgiven in my book. Forgiven. Well, I'm sorry to see that has become an issue for you. You know, you are rather young. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you and what you carry with you. And forgiveness is not about forgiving, like saying, okay. Forgiveness does not mean approval of what transpired. Right? You can forgive an abuser without saying what they did was okay. I don't think any abuser is okay. Any kind of abuse is not okay. But what was done to me, rather than me walk around thinking about it and having that lack of forgiveness, which is an unrest in your spirit, I've let it go. It's like, all right, I forgive you for me. You know, whatever is your path is your path. Your life is your life. You're dead now anyway, so, you know, moot point. You're gone. I don't have to deal with you anymore. So I'm not going to keep you up here. Definitely not going to keep you in here. So forgiveness is not about the other. It's about you. Just don't confuse. A lot of people aren't able to forgive because they think that forgiveness is approval of what was done. That they're saying, well, if I forgave you, it can't be that bad. No. The two things are not actually connected. Hi, Agnes. How are you today? He's already being a brat. Oh, I'm going to have to make another cup of tea before this show's over. Good. How is your project coming? I'm reading quotes collected from this. I'm talking about today's high holiday in Judaism. Well, obviously we don't really know who you are, or your friends, or your family. So in your anonymity, you're safe from any barbs you might come across online. And touching someone, that's it to, you know, again, What you carry inside your heart weighs you down. It doesn't advance your soul or your purpose here. Slow but steady, at least is steady. That's good. Considering how many dogs you have to chase around and how little help you have. Ah. Down to 5. Woo! Just 5. I know what 5 is like, because I had 5. Good morning, Emma. Most of us are around your age, Emma, or older. Although Iron Bear is younger or around your age. I think Oingness is your age or older. Oh my God. Well, my sister texted me and she wants to have a play date. So a week from this Sunday, we're gonna have a play date. She's gonna come here and we're gonna play with paint. I'm so psyched. Elbert Hubbard, one of the smartest things the man ever said. Do not take life too seriously. You will never get out of it alive. Be easier on yourself, on everyone, on everything. Suspend your judgments of the way things should be, must be, and ought to be. Suspending judgments gives you greater ease. Consider ease the antidote for dis-ease. Do things that bring you ease. Quiet walks, resting, hot baths, being with friends, meditating, contemplating, reading, writing, painting. Approach life with acceptance, patience, flowing, giving, grace, effortlessness, simplicity, allowing, acquiescing, permitting, forgiving. Write these words and others like them on separate cards and put them in places you'll see them. Pick one of these attitudes each day, and no matter what happens, meet it with that attitude. That's a great idea. Would you like to hear that again? She's a married woman. Shame on you. You know the rules. Subscribe now or the dog gets it. Hi, Ryan. You need this book. Some patients, though conscious that their condition is perilous, recover their health simply through their contentment with the goodness of the physician. Hippocrates, somewhere between 460 and 400 BC. Of course, the author is dead now. He wrote this while he was dying. Agnes hasn't been telling me anything. Perhaps I recognize aspects of you in me. I too am very bright. You can have anything you want. You just can't have everything you want. Thank you. Don't feed my ego. It needs no help. Don't get lost in possible or impossible. If you have no money and say, I want $10 million, some might think it's impossible. But it's not impossible. Things are happening every day. Lots of people started out with no money and made $10 million. I told her everything. What's there to tell? Just concern yourself with workable and not workable. Not workable might be, I want to be the first man on the moon. It's not going to help because someone's already beaten you to it. But to be the first woman on the moon, well, that's about almost too late too. But you can choose to do something that hasn't been done yet. I'm not sure what that is, but it's okay, you're safe. Because I have terrible memory. My secret for keeping secrets is I forget them. I can't keep a secret because it goes out of my head and no longer exists like 5 minutes after you've told me, so like I'm perfectly safe. I can give you the opinion or advice you want based on what you told me, and then it's gone. It's gone somewhere in my data banks to be used, and if it's going to benefit somebody else down the line. Libris. Oh, isn't that the alley thing? Isn't that like eBay or something? Oink! It's 4:20. I'm waiting for my pill to hit. So I'm stepping off stage. Oh my goodness, I forgot those cards. Oops. Oh. Wrapped up in the Kindle wire. It always happens that if I don't have these cards on the table, these are the ones someone wants. Sleeping is the only time when it's not it's for me, exactly. You got it. I am glad to say that my toe infection is no worse and I have no fever, which means the nerve block goes through tomorrow. If I don't see you for a week, you don't exist to me. That's terrible. Then again, I don't think about things until I see it anymore. I don't know if it's connected to my dyslexia. I'm not dyslexic in most reading, although sometimes I do have to read things a couple times. I am completely dyslexic when it comes to numbers, so it's really difficult for me to deal with numbers because I'm always reversing them. Well, I've never been diagnosed with anything other than brilliance. Seriously. I have been to a lot of shrinks looking for a cure, and then they said, I don't know why you're doing really good. I don't even know why you're doing this good, but you're doing really good, etc., etc. What? Why does that deny putt? Oh, I know. Because putts and all that. It's like a toy that's been put away. What's the brain? Oh, things like in the learning something and then it goes away. But it's there if you need it. Is that an Asperger's thing? Oh, basically like you get overwhelmed in the front screen and you move them over to the side. We're constantly multitasking. Everything's filed. Oh, damn. I do that. I've learned to do it. I have to. I have too many people, too many connections, too many things. I have to limit exposure to different things. I'm an extremely outgoing person. So that's really weird because I always test way high on outgoing. I'm not exhausted by people in that way. I can go out in the crowd. Problem is, I actually absorb too much, and it's really hard for me to unwind after exposure to people. I'm wound up. I can't sleep. Sometimes, well, not anymore because I got drugs, but it used to be I could go like 3 days with after an exciting time. So wound up. That I'm not sure how you mean that. Like you've had too much exposure to death. I mean, death is what has been the problem for you. I mean, acceptance of that, your own, others. I'm not sure how that applies. Birds, you're going to have to go somewhere else to eat. I'm not feeding you. I can't feed you. You'll starve to death. I hate doing that. I have 1 bag of seed left. Oh. You see, this is the Jewish mother thing in me. I love taking care of the world. But if you try to take care of them too well, you can end up creating their doom. Food is scarce right now. Oh, yes, I see. Yeah, well, that's harder for me to do. I cannot, if I'm missing somebody, I'm missing somebody. I mean, missing Sanka, missing Kibble, missing Manushka, you know, missing my babies, my children. That never, I mean, it's a grief that's manageable, and I've accepted that they moved on, but it, you know, I don't have another living thing to shower my love on, and without that, you know, you tend to miss what you have had a little more. But I mean, I'm not traumatized by that. It's like my mom, you know, after she passed, I had to go through certain kinds of things. Okay, like now it's real. But I couldn't communicate with her for the 3 years prior to her death. All I could do was get reports and send things with no response. You know, so in my mind, I had to, like, go for 3 years, I've been saying goodbye to her, you know. It's like, well, you know, if you can't talk to somebody, and you can't see them, and you can't hold them, that's the same as death. You know, I mean, they may as well be dead because you cannot interact with them. No interaction is, they're gone. Even worse than dead, because at least when they're dead, you know, they can send you vibrations, and when they're alive, they're stuck in a body and they can't do shit. You have to deal with physical to physical. Well, the closer you are to someone, the more emotion is going to be attached to that event. They're not there to answer, you know, there's no give and take. That is true. When they become dead to you and you know they're alive. My stepmother was not a nice person. However, there were times when she was trying very hard to be motherly, and hormonally that worked for her. And on and off, we had a really good relationship, and I really genuinely loved her. And I think that there were times she genuinely loved me. But as she was very young when she started having serious hormone problems. Like she had actually we had the same thing, although I had myself sterilized early. She was really actually at one point hoping to have a baby. She was hoping to get pregnant, and then discovered when she was like 34 she couldn't. And then she went from falling in love with my father when he had money, and when he died he didn't have a penny. So oh, I've got to put that back on. Hold a second. Come back here. But for years, my stepmother, she loved doing very bad things. And she was very resentful of me and all my sisters, but because I actually lived with them for a couple of years, very much more resentful of me. And she used to gaslight me and weird, bizarre shit with the head, right? And I was 28 years old when it came to a head, and suddenly I started realizing that, whoa, this is not a well woman, and this is not going to be a good, healthy relationship. She still has resentment toward me because I was my father's daughter, and that was it, just for being the daughter that already existed before she married him. So not all step-parents like their step-kids, no matter how good they try to be. But I think it was really a hormonal thing where she just got hateful. So after I married Glenn and we moved to the country, I made sure she did not know how to find me. Because I knew if she knew how happy I was, she would go out of her way one friggin' way or the other to make sure my life had some dramatic disruption. Because that's what she did. So I didn't even vote for 8 years. Now that's not me at all, because I'm very much a politically minded person, as you know. But 8 years, I didn't want anything registered where she could track me down. I was paranoid as hell. It's like, nobody can tell her where I am. If you ever talk to her, see her, nothing. No. And finally I got word that she had passed away. And I shed exactly one tear. So it was kind of like that. But we did have to go through our own spiritual discussion. She was my stepmother. We had a lot of years together, a lot of interaction, a lot of karma. So we had some talks even after she died. That, you know, then she's moved on to her thing and I'm doing mine. Anyway, how is this for a card of the day before we go to Orion's native spirits? Interesting card, giving what's going on in the world today. It's from the Osho Zen Tarot. And I know we don't usually use tarot, but Osho Zen is okay for a card of the day because it brings up things that are really important. Now, because it's tarot and we're not doing like a future layout or something, we're going to do this it's used for being probably not my kid. Oh geez. I'm sorry. There's nothing like feeling abandoned and unwanted, right? Well, you know what happens, and this is really interesting that you would say that, and this would come up, because control. When people, children specifically, when children are abused, abandoned, anything bad, okay? When a child is impacted emotionally or physically by an adult, as they get older, they start to get, you know, resentful, angry, or they go into depression, they get suicidal. They run the gamut of emotions, but none of the good ones. It's all negative, all right? That's what abused children start putting onto themselves. It's not like it's not bad enough that they're being abused. They question, why am I being abused? I must deserve it. I don't know why, but somehow. But then a lot of kids feel inside, depending on the age of when this happens or starts. If you were really, really young when it starts, you're going to grow up with a need for control. Simple as that. I was the oldest of four. I was given control when I was 7 by my mother, who wanted me to be, well, the new mommy, because she didn't really want to be mommy anymore because she was dealing with divorce and feeling her rejection and abandonment. She didn't have emotional time or energy for kids. So that's right. Our need to change our story starts the minute we start getting abused and we can't stop it. When we feel that neglect, we feel that pain of any kind, we are powerless to stop it as children, and we grow up needing to change that narrative. We look in different ways to elicit control on our world. We have seen it, young girls especially being attracted to the world of paganism and magic. The more neglected they were, the more likely they're going to go into some kind of religious or anti-religious bend for a while. It happens again, it also coincides with a lot of hormonal things happening. It is a need for control. Control of ourselves is secondary. Matter of fact, a lot of the problems is that as we seek this power and control of the world, we're not being taught the control of self, because that starts with meditation and being quiet and sitting and listening. And the problem is, when you're that age, that's the last thing you fucking want to do. When you're that age, you were action, you were moving, you were fast moving, and you are all about desire and fire and forward motion. But your secret engine is not love, because you haven't known enough of that. Your secret engine, unfortunately, is your pain. Your pain becomes your fear, becomes your anger, your paranoia, but more and more it becomes your need to control your world. And if you're only about controlling yourself, that's when we start to get anally fixated, where we need to hold in our poop. It's the only thing we have as little children that we can actually control. I won't shit. I will not. Or, you know, we try it. They show little kids saying, oh, I will hold my breath until I pass out. I'll hold my breath until you give me what I want. Well, good try, kid, because the best you're going to do is really just pass out. And your parent will just walk over you like you don't even exist. Because that was the problem to begin with. They're not paying attention to the real you. They don't hear you. They don't see you. Yes, exactly. You don't necessarily join a cult. You start seeking understanding about what happens. Okay, this is something that happens with kids who are abused a lot, all right, regularly. Like when you're living with an abuser, your development and your survival patterns is a little bit different than if you just had something happen, like a sudden rape, a sudden thing that happens one time. That is a totally different psychological bowl of side effects, all right? When you are regularly exposed to something that is abusive or demeaning, humiliating, just denying your own selfhood, kids are going to find that they become highly intuitive. It's a survival instinct, intuition. Intuition is meant to do one thing: keep you alive, keep you safe. So you become that person, that kid, that develops the eyes in the back of their heads, that you develop that ability to sense when somebody might be dangerous to you or any kind of harmful to you. You develop a sense that helps you disappear, all right? Yeah, we'll just deny that one for the moment, but we know what we're talking about there. Yeah, it's a different psychological thing. So the more you're exposed to this abusive behavior, you are going to become more and more intuitive, but also more and more in need of controlling your environment. Well, what happens with us, especially women, young girls, because it's discouraged in guys, right? Girls are allowed to be sensitive and sense things, and we're the card readers, and we're the tea leaf readers, and it's blah, blah, blah. It's expected of girls just by their nature being girls, right? So girls start to look at, why am I so intuitive? How did I know that was going to happen? How did I know this and how did I know that? And they become very adept at also being intuitive for other people, because whether they realize it or not, they have become observers of patterns. And all of the people they've been watching, all the kids in school, all the adults that are around them, teachers, parents, lack of parents, aunts, uncles, bad people, good people, everything is being recorded like a pattern. And then when you see it in the world, it starts tipping you off. And at first it's scary, because you start being really good at predicting behavior. And that's when you start to believe that you're psychic. And it's your intuition keeping you alive. You are, for the rest of the world, they're going to believe you're psychic. And you do become so good at patterns if you keep doing this, that you are going to appear to be psychic. And sometimes, yeah, we can fool ourselves. But we are here to create. And we do have lots of options. And what happens is you can start to see more and more options a person is going to have, and you can say, okay, well, if you go this far, this is going to go this way, and this is going to go, and it's like I see webs now. You know, I don't just see a pattern of going one way down a hallway. I see tons of outreach of different places you can get off in this tunnel of life. So what happens is we're attracted to the mysterious when we're young. We're attracted to the things that are outside of, you know, when I was in the temple, when I started recognizing my intuition and started being scared by it, like, why do I know this? How do I know this? God must be telling me. What does this mean? Am I supposed to be listening to God? Am I supposed to do everything God says? Well, how do I know? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can drive yourself nuts. So I used to go to rabbis and priests and ask them questions about God. It's like, I don't have time for your sermon right now. Let's get right to the nitty-gritty here. You read all the books. You read more than me. Let's talk. Hi. And that ability to predict is because of our brains. You break the wrong part of the brain, you're not going to be able to see, process. But that is exactly right. Good morning. We are training our brains, and we are training ourselves. So this is why I say it's so important to pay attention to your intuition. It works, it calculates so much faster than your conscious mind does. So that's why it seems like magic when things pop into your head. And we're learning more and more about the brain. But the point is, when we're young, we are attracted to the different, the mysterious. And as we start to recognize traits in ourselves and abilities, we start seeking like minds. Well, I found my like minds, the best description of how I felt about the world was a natural folk witch. Someone who loves the natural world, who loves the seasons. After all, I'm in New England, grew up with 4 seasons, very connected with all 4 seasons. It's a big thing in New England, that you're connected with the seasons. And all of the stuff that interested me, medicine as herbs as medicine, and the certain kind of like poetic rituals, and the fact that witchcraft begins in the kitchen. It's a woman's thing and a feminine thing more than male, but now actually it's everybody's, because it's just your appreciation for nature. Now, in a predominantly male world, what's going to appeal to a young woman who is feeling not well understood in her own home, especially perhaps being abused by a man? They do the most abusing, but women are not exempt. There is a great deal of evil behavior that we are seeing in women as well, because who was abused first? It becomes a chicken and the egg thing. A lot of people just keep passing down one kind of abuse after the other, sometimes the identical abuse, because they grew up thinking, it's okay, that was good enough for me, my parents did that to me, I'm fine. So, yeah, we grow up needing control. The more abused you were, the more you are going to be needing to control your world. And I believe this is something that might be part of OCD behavior. It is that need to organize things in something that makes sense to you, which the world in itself does not. The world is full of patterns. It doesn't mean your brain knows all of them and takes time to recognize them. And some are just like, I don't like that pattern, fuck it. You don't want to accept it. And, you know, the brain wants to kick certain things out, but you can't, because the OCD part is going to go, nope, you can't leave that out. It has to have a special file. It goes into its own little slot. That pigeonholing. So I think the more you've been missing something in early life, now also what's about control? Control of money. What happens when you grow up being drilled with certain kinds of money, wisdom, advice, or money doesn't grow on trees? Or who are you to have money? What makes you think you can make it when I couldn't make it? All of the stuff that's secretly, it's not like it's not so secret, it's putting you down. Like, well, who are you to succeed? And then the other ones are like, I got so tired of watching my family be poor, I had to make money. I became obsessed with making money. Look at every rich person and look and see, where did they get that motivation from? Aside from the ones that were kind of accidental, like inventing a simple little game and selling it for $1 and making millions. Awesome. If you were all about money and you really want to make money and that is all you want to do, you'll make money. You will learn about money. You will learn how money works in this world, because you'll know it's just a tool like anything else. So if you find yourself really crazy, this is the card of the day, by the way, a long one, right? Well, no one is asking for a card except for Orion. I do remember how to do it. Control serves us when we are young. The need for control is not a healthy one. We have to learn how to relinquish control to the universe after we have made our requests and start working with it rather than trying to control it. We can control our reactions, make sure that we're taking conscious action rather than just reacting emotionally and impulsively. But you can control up to a point what your circle of influence is. But we can't completely control that, you see, because the world is what it is. We can control, for example, who's allowed into your house. But then something might happen that disrupts that, a call to 911, and your house is suddenly full of strangers trying to administer help. And you have to be able to handle that. We don't have control over most of what goes on around us. That's why it's important to focus on that which you desire, so the universe can line up to give you more of what you desire, rather than remind you of, I'm not sure who Zinger Miller is. To me, everything around you is your sphere of influence. Every vibration that you emanate, everything you pick up and think about and send back out in the world, all of that is your circle of, your sphere of influence, or your circle of influence. Because you can apply a circle of influence to one specific thing, like your, well, any like data point. Is that the right word? You can't step into the same river twice, let's say. Yes, I like that. You are in the river. I like the river for a lot of different metaphors. Sometimes you have to go with the flow. You have no choice. If you want to be okay, you're going to have to just relax and go with it. That's an important thing to learn. I will try and save this for later and remember not to send this out here.
Writing's not that.
Oh my goodness. I'll definitely have to look at that. That looks fascinating. Hey, I'm not going to do it in the middle of the show. But that's cool. You guys might want to see that later. Ah. Cool. I should look that up. Zinger Miller. Named after Red Zinger, perhaps? Or Zig Ziglar? You sure you want this deck, huh? You think too much. You know, self-analysis inevitably, if that's all one is doing, will lead to insanity. You cannot constantly analyze yourself, every movement, every thought, everything, because we're constantly changing. What you do want to pay attention to is, what do you want? Yeah, I know. Thing is, you want a free mind. I mean, you want the freedom. But when we get lost in thought, the sky is too big. Look up at the sky. Limitless, right? Our planet is just a little pea hanging in space so big that we cannot calculate it. It's beyond our understanding. So, oh yes, oh yeah. Seek first to understand. Isn't that my... Oh, right here. I'm moving all my brushes. This was the card of the day. This is my bookmark from 1987. After a while, you learn the difference between holding a hand and chaining a soul. You learn that love isn't leaning, but lending support. You begin to accept your defeats with the grace of an adult, not the grief of a child. You decide to build your roads on today, for tomorrow's ground is too uncertain. You help someone plant a garden instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. You learn that God has given you the strength to endure and that you really do have worth. That was the card of the day. And the other day. Anyway, sweetie, this is one of the really important things. Like, another little story. My sister one day told me that she wanted to go to school and get a bachelor's in psychology. She wanted to become a psychologist. And I didn't mean to, but I burst out laughing. And I really did not mean to. That should not have been my first response, but it cracked me the hell up. Because she was at that time like the least introspective of anybody I knew when it came to, well, she just didn't look inside. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. What it was I told everybody in my family very early on, you need help. Please get help. We had a very bad childhood. You cannot just go through life thinking you're fine. You're not fine. You're not happy. Please get help. So that was my mantra, and that's what I had to tell everybody in the family. Please get help. Well, she was like, she was not going to get help, and finally, when she said she was going to become a psychologist, I knew exactly what the motivation was, because I learned about this a long time ago. When I thought I wanted to become a psychologist, everybody who thinks that they're going to learn more about who they are is ready to become a psychologist. It's not about them helping all the poor sick people. It's about them helping themselves without having to reveal themselves to another person. In other words, they don't want to go through therapy themselves. They just want to learn it all in school, like that's going to do it. It doesn't. So that's the reason when you go to become a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you go through analysis yourself. You become the patient, and you have to understand what the patient is going through. When I told her that, she decided to go into journalism instead. You can make yourself crazy, learning, but every year, because they have to, because every student comes out with a thesis, every semester you got a bunch of graduates putting out their first paper, and people are looking at these papers because that's all they've got to publish at that time. Is really, and it doesn't mean they're right or accurate, it's just they got approved to do a thesis, and it gets published with the name doctor. You are becoming. You're always in a state of becoming. You can't seek to become. You're seeking to do what you're already doing without trying. What you're trying to do is, like so many of us, we think that we're going to be able to analyze ourselves into knowing everything about ourselves. But we're never going to know everything about ourselves. We're going to die still partial, at least, mysteries to ourselves. What's going to happen, if you're lucky, is you're going to become content enough with what you already know. You will, if you're troubled, continue to look for answers. If you're not so troubled, maybe it's time to just be paying attention to what you want to do with your life, where you might find a passion. But if it's all about you, then you're never getting out of your own head, and you're really not doing a whole lot for the planet or your world. You're all inside here. And this is a great place to be when you're growing up. We have crises all the time, you know, identity. Hopefully we get over those early, but sometimes something can happen. We find our world kind of blown apart. I'm sure a lot of that has happened with DNA testing, when people learn things like my cousin finding out that my uncle wasn't her daddy, and she really wasn't my blood cousin, but ironically I liked her best of that whole family. So the thing is to, you want to be yourself, right? Isn't that what you're trying to become, you? You're trying to find out what it is you want to be, or who you are. Every time we incarnate, that's the idea. To learn more about who we are and how we like to express ourselves as humans. Oh, well, then you're completely nuts. Okay, I get it now. I'm really glad you can't have children that you name a formula. What is that formula for, anyway? I mean, if it was me naming a kid a formula, I would go with the equation for light. I think that's like a perfect name to get your kid beaten up in school. You have to be a bit of a sadist, I think, to name your child like that. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. That's so thoughtful of you. Yeah, Elon Musk. Strange dude. Strange dude. Now that's one I would ponder. What were his parents thinking? And they named him Elon. No, actually, I like that name, Elon. It's different. And Musk used to be my favorite perfume oil, so, you know, no, nothing against that. Just questioning, like, how did you raise him? I don't know anything about his parents. Well, hello there. You settle in where? I'm still here. I'm waiting for my apartment to come through. Looking forward to that. I'm number 5 on the list. I'm moving up. It'll probably be the dead of winter. When's the worst time to move? No, I'm joking. I'm not asking the universe for that. No, universe, no. No, let's try for a miracle of Thanksgiving. Ah, mom stuff. Yes. I did not have as rough a time as most people would if they lost their mother. My mother was not a good mother, and I had 3 years to separate from her before she died because we couldn't communicate. So, yeah, I'm fine. I was more concerned about my sisters, but they too are doing well. They've been wrestling through things, but everybody is getting psychological support now. Oh, thank you. Well, Orion, thank you. Well, I'm glad that I can do that for you. Hello, okay. Okay. I am having a wonderful day with everybody here. And right now, like my most serious problem that I have to ponder is whether to invest in India or acrylic inks. Ah, thank you. How long have you been here? Like everything else is being settled by doctors. I just follow instructions. Which reminds me, after the show I have to make a quick call to my oncology department and set up a video call for Monday. And oh shit, I forgot to get a blood test done. I'm alright. It's gonna be weird, a weird reading. I'm on antibiotics for a few days. So see, I don't have to think about it. I just know, make sure you eat with the medicine. Try to sleep as much as you can. Keep your feet up. Do a toe soak. Oh, I'm getting a nerve block in my back tomorrow, which should make Saturday perfectly miserable. However, by Monday or Tuesday, I should be starting to feel really good. And I can start walking again. I mean, walking like standing up and walking, not just walking around the house. So I'm excited. I'm in a very good mood for that. I tried to kill two birds with one stone today because I took my shower shortly before the show. My hair was, yeah, it's still a little not quite alive yet. Anyway, yeah, I shouldn't aggravate it because it does weird shit. I had Epsom salts. I'm supposed to be doing these Epsom salt soaks for my little infected toe. So I have a problem with this bathtub. It like gets this much water in it before it drains. So I just went extra hot, filled it that much because it always does. Like it just will not drain faster. Like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and it's still not all the way down there. And like I can't find anything covering this drain, but it's like, yeah. Anyway, I put a bunch of Epsom salts in my bathtub. So while I was doing everything else, I was standing in water for like, 40 minutes. I turned the water off. I wasn't running water for 40 minutes, but I was standing in it for 40 minutes. So I mean, I got a really good soak and did my hair. A cork soak. I love that. The Fargan ice hole. There's no plug. I can't do that because instead of having a thing that goes down, it's like a little dome of stainless steel or chrome. It's chrome plated that has little round holes in it. Just enough so hair can either decide it's going to go straight down or go across it. Oh, you have to see the movie, man, where that comes from. The original is the best. Johnny Dangerously. That's a great movie. Johnny Dangerously. Michael Keaton stars. All-star cast, basically. Joe Pesci is brilliant. He's freaking hilarious. It's a great movie. Non-stop comedy, and you have to watch it because it's a lot of, So, there you go. I actually remembered his name. I liked him in that a lot. Oh my god, he was great in that. You have to see it. Very funny. Unscrewed that plug to see why it doesn't seal. What plug? It doesn't, no, there's nothing to unscrew. It's built into the bottom of the tub. It's like a, I don't even know how a plumber would get to it. Seriously. Ryan just went back to being 12. Yeah, it's not a plug. I can't plug. I can do a lever thing, and underneath somewhere in there it plugs up, but I can't even see it. Oh, 13, sorry. I forgot you had a birthday. Now, I'm into, like, doing my own stuff. I'm not afraid of maintenance that I can handle if I have the tools. Tools do matter. I had to go next door to get a snake when I first moved in here. But that was my mistake. I had an air bubble. That's it. It's a, yeah, it's freaking hilarious. It's about, like, Chicago gangs, gang war. I would hope so, but I can't find anything in set, and I'm not messing with it because it's not mine. But it has been slow since I moved in. It is the slowest running drain I have ever seen. So, and it just so slowly, and I've like just done hot water and salt and vinegar and baking soda. It's like I don't even know what to do with it now. I can't even get a snake through those little holes. They're not like a screen. It's not a mesh. It's bigger holes. Well, you don't want to put stuff like that into the water. I am gonna bet, you know, it's just years of hair stuff, not necessarily just hair, but I got a shampoo, a conditioner that because the water doesn't go down right away, I got a good look at what it is. It's like really waxy. Like, this is wax. That's why it holds your hair down. It's a heavy duty conditioner. Spent geranium. I think we've got enough of that in our, yeah, we got enough of that already. Now, I bet you didn't notice I am wearing a Jewish star today. Of course you didn't notice. This is the CZ star that was cut for me by my late friend Earl English. The top of it actually forms a Mogen David. Thank you. It looks like amethyst, doesn't it? Oh, that's a hard one, Orion. You better make a deposit. Have some fish. You need some choline. Good. I hope it wasn't like Swedish fish. I must have eaten some fish. No, actually I didn't. I should. Now, I figured tomorrow was going to be rough. I hate getting these injections, but they are, when they're effective, they are really effective. And tomorrow they're going to try, I've got 2 discs that are literally leaning on the nerves, like exposed. It's like Okay, well, I see why that hurts. I say, well, it doesn't always hurt. It's really weird how some people say, well, I'm telling you, this really hurts. Okay, that's why I am here. So they're supposed to basically inject them with lidocaine stuff and a steroid to bring down any inflammation that's adding to it. Okay, I'm going to make a cup of tea. So I'll put a song on. Thank you. Well, I'll be painting as much as I can before I have to go in. When I get back, I may not be able to get back online. I may need to just lay down. Well, that's not true. The way things are going, they will be lucky to come back again right now. So the next life maybe, but it may be a very long time from now. Please write on your calendar, December 21st, 11 a.m. Be here. It is the winter solstice. We are having a global meditation where people must choose between the energy of love and the energy of the opposite. We are going to try and cool things down here a bit. So we want everybody to spread the word. December 21st, 11 a.m. It begins. Also, we have a new TikTok account. No, there is no end, not that way. It doesn't have to be as drastic. People, it's not a black and white issue. It's not an all or nothing issue. But there is going to be a lot less of us coming here. Plus, we're not all here. We don't all incarnate. Matter of fact, relatively few of us come here. So, it's not what a lot of people think. It's not the end. We're not going to have the end, but we also are not going to tolerate imbalances, because the imbalances are causing problems everywhere. You know, the as above, so below. We have to choose the energy that's actually more powerful. Love must win. That's it. Women must be, the female energy must be elevated. There must be equality. And things are going to keep moving until there is. Even if that results in destruction. And as we see, destruction has already begun. But it's not like Revelations. The Bible should not be taken literally. There's a lot of things that are incorrect in the Bible. And a lot of people actually believe that everything in the Bible, including all the predictions and what they thought was revelations, was a very long time ago. Like 1,000 or more years into after they wrote it, it was over. 1,000 years. Okay, we're talking now 2,000 years. So definitely check out what's going on. Do not follow fear. And do not follow ego. Ego is all about how superior humans are. And yeah, we're not. We are right now the best vehicle for spirit. But we are in everything. I mean, there's no exception here. All matter is something that concerns us. We work with matter. This is our place of physical creation. So it's important to us. And it's also, it's a beautiful place. It's a wonderful place. It's a miraculous place that any of this has held together this long. And we have completely messed things up in just the last 100 years. We have done more damage in 100 years than nature could do in 10,000. So we have to look at the energy of it. And unless we elevate ourselves that much, then we can't just stop going into all of these predictions, because we are creating tomorrow. We are not there yet. It's not a done deal. And we're not all on the same page. We're not all on the same lesson plan, you know? And I'm not saying lesson like a teacher is giving us all these lessons. We are the teachers. We are each other's teachers. So it's all working together. And there is nothing that is unnatural, I guess we could say. But everything is the result of everything that we have done up to this point. We can change what tomorrow is going to look like by changing what we're doing energetically at this point, which is why we have to address it in the now, not in the future. So we can think about the ideas or ideal, if they want to think of that as an ideal, to remember past lives. Tell me the purpose of coming here and remembering a past life. When you come to here from the very beginning, to not be focused on the past. You're not supposed to carry anything from the past, because that changes your perception of the now. Yes, exactly, Dina. But that doesn't mean everyone is making it. Compassion is the answer. That is the highest form of love there can be. It's above love. That's the ultimate. And yes, that is what we are trying to work people toward. Absolutely. There's a lot of people who are not willing to work toward that. Okay? They do not see themselves as, yes, well, I understand what you're saying. Good. The world is not ending, and we are not ending. Everyone has what they are needing to do. I have what I have to do. You have what you have to do. I know. That's what I said about my sister inviting me to lunch. That if my sister invited me to lunch, it's the first time in our lives we're having lunch alone, the world is about to end. No, we are growing. We are growing. We are growing. No, our lives. We do not have to compare. The world is going to be fine, all right? Even if it has to erase a lot of mess. The world is going to be fine, and we are going to keep coming back here. But we don't all come back here, and it is a choice. But there is going to be a while, I believe, that it may be impossible to come back to certain places, and they're going to be left to recover. And there's nothing that you're going to be able to do about it unless, well, actually, in some parts it's already too late. For now, it doesn't mean it will not eventually heal, but I'm talking about many, many, many years, more than you want to even think about at the moment. We need to be focused in now. Now is our point of power. We're creating tomorrow. You want a compassionate world. That must be your vibration. You must love the world as you love yourself. You must want the same for all as you want for yourself. You must be able to see the pain and the fear in everyone and want to heal it for everyone. Religion has been claiming things like that. We are, this planet is always in the process of building itself and tearing itself down. That's what earthquakes are. That is what, it's a living planet. Volcanoes. What do you think islands came from? So, you know, there's islands that are part of continents that were not submerged. There's islands that were born of volcanoes. Yes, that's true, Dina. Absolutely true. Without struggle, we have to have that wind for the kite to rise against. But it doesn't have to be the darkest. As I say, we always will need the shadow, but your wisdom will help make it a less dark shadow. You don't have to succumb to the deepest shadows anymore, because you have now seen enough light. And you have enough You carry a knife within you, so you cannot be destroyed by something going wrong. We'll always have our human battles within. Our physicality is complicated. Our bodies are very complex. They're very fragile. We don't appreciate the fragility, but yes, we do, because that's why we are involved so much with robotics. We thought years ago that robotics would help alleviate so much of human suffering. For example, farming. Farming, our most simple thing, right? Except that it's not, because farmers typically don't live to be an old age. They're living longer because of technology, but typically they die young because of farm accidents. Farming is dangerous, and it's very hard work dealing with just crops, let alone livestock. So all of these things are, we struggle with them because they're how we survive. And the people working on farms make it possible for others to live in cities, because a city is not a self-sustaining project. Cities would die without importing everything, including the water. So we are a very complex organism, humanity, upon a very complex organism, the planet. I think the work is hard for everybody learning how to do the work and how to make it easier. I mean, if you're talking physical work, we know some things we just cannot do. Like, my little body, I am not going to be a ditch digger. So I am limited, definitely, by my physical abilities. There are things I'm never going to do. Well, okay, well, there is some truth to it, yes. Rich and I were talking about, male, female, where that's separated, where women ended up doing more of the, well, you have a baby, so you're staying home, taking care of those things. Men, well, what did they have? What excuse did they have to stay home? They're going to go out there and build the railroads and then run them. There are definitely some things like that, but that just because you're built to dig a ditch doesn't mean that that's what you're going to want to do, of course. And I believe you should have the opportunity to do whatever it is you want to do, not dictated by your physicality. Well, yes, but every tribe has that. Every tribe has had a room for everybody. Look, tribes, not American society or most European-based kind of societies, but Dina, are you a female or a male? I'm sorry, I can't remember. I know that, like, a tribe, a traditional tribe, you have your leaders, but they were not really like leaders unless it became down to like a battle kind of an issue. Male, okay. Thank you. They had the shaman. They had more than two genders. They had everybody was included. They had those who were better at this and better than that at that. They had the hunters, the people who made the tools. You have to find a place in your tribe. But there was a place for everything. The storytellers, or the dreamers, the music makers, the weavers. Not everybody is a hunter. Not everybody is a planter or a gatherer or a cook. Not everybody could have a child. So a tribe finds the usefulness and the gifts within each individual. So that's really, when you look at the tribe of humans, I mean, after all, there's only one race, that's the human race. You look at them, we're all made differently, and we all have a place within our tribe. So you're right, Some of us are thinkers, some of us are, like, we know are in our own friendship circle. We've got friends who are more athletic and they love the great outdoors, and you know, they're the ones that are going to go skiing in the winter and with the snowshoes, and they're going to go hiking in the summer, and you know, they're out there all the time. And the rest of us are like, I have a book and some peanuts to feed the squirrel on the back deck. I'll see you later. Have fun. So I mean, it takes all kinds. Some of us have to write books, and then someone has to read them, or why bother? Yes, exactly. How can you have every gift? I have a lot of gifts, and I'm grateful for them. And I have honed some skills, and that was my own decision, conscious decision to do. And some things just you get better at because you practice them. But I am horrible with money because I am very bad with math. I learned when I was a waitress, I could add a lot of things in my head. I could subtract, I could do some simple division. I got really good and really fast because I kept practicing and practicing and practicing, adding columns, big columns of numbers against the adding machine. So I practiced. That was the best I could do, because when it came to higher math, I could only do minor algebra, and I could never go further because I keep seeing numbers backwards. Always backward. And you cannot become a scientist like I wanted to. Now, I didn't know this at the time when it was time to go to college. I didn't realize I was numerically dyslexic, but I am. I have a problem with that. True, we make ourselves outcast frequently. But it is not just that. I mean, you cannot call someone who is having things thrown at them and they're cursed at and rejected and being called what in India? Untouchables? What a primitive, horrible thing. And that, by the way, is exacerbated by the color of their skin. The darker the Indian, the less respect they have. Isn't that lovely? Their own racism within their own race. So, yeah, you are an outcast. And that's not, yeah. They're terrible. But I feel the same way about royalty, divine inheritance. All of this, these are human concepts, but unfortunately we decide that they came from a god. And once we decide that it came from a god, that's it. We just accept it. Not us necessarily, but unfortunately large numbers of people just accept it as truth. They act on it and even kill for it. Exactly. We created every last bit of it. And we keep creating, and we created out of our earliest ignorance. Yes, it's a terrible thing. But this is an ego thing. This is an ego-based thing. Again, the need for control. All of it comes from fear. Earliest primitive fears. The fear of not having. So that's why we focus a lot on the show on what is it you want. Yes, and I will turn on my teapot. Yay, oinkness. Teapot. Don't trip on that damn wire. My slippers seem to like that wire a lot. his life, child of a woman and a man who lived in strife. He was tired of being poor, and he wasn't into selling door to door, and he worked like a devil till he born. Different kind of poverty now upsets my soul. Night after sleepless night, I walk the floors and I want to know why am I so low? Uh-huh. I'm glad they got her in there. Okay. My sign. I am a Pisces with Leo rising, and my moon is in Virgo. I'm not an astrologist. I used to be an astrologist. I don't believe in astrology. But I do love the moon, and I follow that. Mine is a stop sign. And of course, I've got the candles lit. I'll light the candles every morning and evening for you. Pisces moon. Wow. It's okay. Do you find yourself very emotional like female? The watery sign going in two different directions. Isn't it? It's also rude. I'm sorry. Ah. Empathetic. No doubt. Artistic. I hope you grow some plants. Herbs. Food herbs. No. Artistic. Well, depression can repress them, but you don't actually lose them. There's a book. Let me think a minute. Wonderful. I am sorry you ever fell out of love, but learning how to love yourself is important. My brother had AIDS, and he was very sick, but then he read a book that changed his entire life and outlook. It had something to do with artists. Come on, spell checker. Good. Well, what do you call efficiently? Oh, really? Find it and give us a link. Give your wife the link so she can post it. She's in mod. Just try to do it every day, twice a day. 20 minutes morning, 20 minutes at night. And if you have a lousy meditation, you're normal. They're not all going to be like, you know, deep, healing, wonderful. I mean, they're meant to chill your brain, give yourself more clarity. Oh, well, yes, it gets easier, but you'll always end up having distractions here and there. I mean, that's just the nature of the body and mind. You're going to have some days when you're a little fidgety and you can't really achieve that. And so you just try later, try the next day. It's not like, it's just, it's kind of like you should look at it like brushing your teeth every day. It's a good mental health thing. It's a good body thing, but it's there's nothing specific you're trying to attain other than that peacefulness and the clarity that comes with clearing your brain and putting things on hold so you can rest properly. But you're going to get distracted here and there. I mean, that's part of the meditation, is like learning to let those those distractions like come up, recognize them, in like a train car. It just goes by. Yep, I see you. I'll think about you when I'm done. Bye. And let it go down the tracks. Another one comes up. Like, I see you. I'll take care of you later. Bye. You just have to keep telling your brain. If it keeps like, if it won't stop, your brain is saying, "Look, I don't really want you sitting right now. You need to accomplish something. Get up, move your ass, and then come back to this later. You need to get some of this shit off your list." So the brain is gonna, you know, be your guide, but then you have to be the boss. But it's always gonna be a give and take thing. Just don't find yourself condemning yourself like you're doing it wrong, or you're failing at it, because that's the exact opposite of what you're supposed to feel when you're learning to meditate and just practicing meditation. I have to send a little note. I'm going to see if he's around. He may be able to give me the name of that book that you might find useful, as an artist who has suffered from depression and is now, you know, doing better. We'll find out. But I still highly recommend this book for everyone. It was written by someone who died and knew he was dying when he wrote it. He wrote more than this, though. Oh, yeah. Yeah, your experiences help create who you are. If you like yourself, then be grateful for those experiences, right? They formed you. They informed your opinion, and you're continuing to grow. You're just getting started. You're not even 40 yet. You're just a sprout. So you're doing great. If you reach this point where you are chilling and you are working on that, and you're starting to feel better about yourself and hopefully the world, and obviously I think you are, because you are really, you know, looking to open yourself up to, well, who you really are, which is a God. And of course, you know, that's such blasphemy for those people who are unfortunately stuck. But again, you know, there's room on the tree for every leaf. So enjoy the different colors that you're becoming. It's nice to have the different shades, a broader palette to work with. Yeah. Hey, I love alfalfa sprouts. I used to make them all the time. My saying for me is plant where you're grown. I mean, grow where you're planted. Plant yourself wherever and just start growing. Like right now, I've been on hold for permanent housing. I'm waiting. Okay, Becky. I was in charge of our gang, okay? I was the eldest. I took all the lead roles. But look, that made me outgoing and unfortunate. Because if I wasn't outgoing, I couldn't be here with you. Didn't I start making tea? Let's pay that $4.20. I did. 10 minutes ago I made you. Now you can add the sugar and cream. Okay. Where are we? Why, it's almost time to say goodbye and then come back painting. Feminine, but become awakened and find themselves and hold on to it for a minute. Oh, it does seem like that, doesn't it, Dina? But actually, it's always been happening. Everything about this place has had nothing to do with the war. I mean, unless you're thinking awakening has to do with the fact that we shouldn't kill each other. War is a horrible way to find out, but we've been having wars forever. You know, that's what the Bible was always talking about. Old Testament. Well, every Testament. It's like always about, we're going to conquer. Again, it's about, what is it all about? Control. The bigger your fear, the more you need to get control. The bigger your fear, the bigger the gun. Okay? People with guns are scared people. And when people show off their guns, they're saying, I'm terrified. So I have to exert control over you because I'm fucking scared that you might hurt me. We must choose the real power, which is love, and not keep elevating the golden calves. But we have been awakening here, there, everywhere. The whole point was to come here and become human. From that moment when spirit entered human and human went, oh, I am that I am me, and they recognize themselves as an entity in a body, is when the awakening began. But that's only one example. People protested the wars in Egypt, but they were slaves, and they didn't have choices about what they did. This has been going on since humans have been here. We have been awakening since we became aware of our own existence. Before we invented God as a god, we invented fealty to the sun and moon. So we go back. We have always had this need. But when we had multiple gods, I'm not pitching for polygamy, not polygamy, I'm definitely not pitching for that. Polytheism. Before that, people shared gods. You could meet, it was very much like, you know, the Conan, where you met around a campfire in your travels and you shared which god you were with. Oh, you have that god. He likes this, doesn't he? No, I don't like that god. I like this one. He's more powerful in this. They didn't say or fight over who's god. They were individuals. They had their tribes. They had their groups. They had their towns, whatever, and a lot of them were very nomadic. They took their gods wherever they went. As soon as we became aware, well, everything, you have to be focused right now. Absolutely. Your point of focus is where you are at this moment. So you must feel that way. You have to feel that way. This is your time. And you are awakening more to what you are and what you can do. So it's your time. And you are going to connect with others doing that. I was around in those hippie days, okay? Here I am, flower child. It's not as romantic as it was now. Now people are looking back like they were so wise. We were also the great unwashed and the great STD society. Amoeba. Yeah, probably not. No, I'm talking about when we became aware of being in form. Gorillas are aware, all right? Gorillas have been awakening. Primates, all right? When we made the jump, wherever that was, and I believe it was more than one spot. It doesn't matter, you know, we can keep going back there, but you're not there anymore. You are here. So when an awakening of any kind began is not really interesting to me personally, because it doesn't matter anymore. I've been there, done that, okay? You too, whether you remember it or not, it's past. You can't change it. Here you are now. It's your only point power. This is where you change tomorrow by with your choices and your actions made today. You have to have the thought first, then you have to take inspired action, and then the universe will support you. And if you're joyful when you're doing this, then the universe is saying, yep, you're going the right way. We're filling you with joy. As soon as you fuck up and go off path, the universe is saying, slam! Idiot, I said no! That's why you had that car accident. That's why you got sick. That's why. Because you're not paying attention. The naive hippie kids were not so naive. You got it, girl. And you know what? I brought him to the table first thing today. Patchouli, amber, sandalwood, the natural things. I went to Woodstock the year after, before the festival. Yes, you stubbed your toe because you weren't paying attention. Not because God willed it. And yes, I know people will argue with that. No, I was there the year before in Woodstock. We rented a house. Actually, it was an actors and actresses, a husband-wife team, Joseph Bologna's house, and his wife, Renee Taylor. Although, they may have been separated by then, and that's why we were renting that house. This cute little violet house, lavender house. That's where I fell in love with the country. And then the following year was the Woodstock Festival at White Lake, which was a little down the road, and my cousin and his friends went. I was not allowed to go. I was too young. My father knew what was going to happen. LSD loved having sex in the mud and also getting very sick. And, you know, some dead. Oh, you picked the perfect deck. You're gonna love this. Alright, Oink. You asked for it, you got it. Persistence. Lou is telling you, you gotta stay with it, darling. Lou is the same as like the sun and the yes cards. Okay, he's saying you stick with it, you do okay. Don't give up. When you feel like giving up, Lou will be there, pushing you in the back, going, move it. Don't stop. Yes. Yes, it does, I'm afraid, Orion. Oinkness needs all the support she can get. And since there's no money to be paying strangers, those beloved family members must help voluntarily. And you are persistent. And I'm basically just saying, look, you stick with it, you're gonna achieve your dream. So keep going. The universe is supporting you. As long as things are being put in your path, the universe is supporting you. You start going off path, yes, you will have challenges. People think that because they're on path, they're not going to be challenged. The universe is going to always throw that up there. It's always going to give you that wind. And as my doctor said to me when I said, I'm tired, can't you do anything about my anemia? And she said, you're going to have to get used to it. Which is what she's going to say on Monday. You're going to have to get used to it. Other than that, you're doing very good. So, some things are just going to happen. It's not the end of the world. Dina, you know you're immortal, yes? Obviously you do. You're talking about people being more awakened. What are they awakening to? Recognizing themselves as gods. That's what the awakening is about. Recognizing the law of attraction and the law of surrender and not being in a victimhood stance all the time. So that is what the awakening is. But the masses do not come upon that like that. It's not a sudden awakening. That is what everybody, that's right, death is absolutely not the end. And it's important to understand that, but not take for granted what this lifetime is about. You're not supposed to look at this like it's just some whimsical journey. It takes a lot of miracles to create a position for you here. Everybody's willing. Everybody's a willing actor, which is why it's so important not to infringe on people's choices when it comes to such things, because that is what fucks everything up. We can't have that. That's how you end up bringing very unhappy beings in this world who can't wait to get off. So we do not want to force people into doing what they know is best for themselves. That's why people have personal will. Well, we all, yes, the thing is, Adina, it's not a massive lesson for the world. Okay, we all have, yeah, there are different levels of lessons, right? It's like each cell has to learn its own lessons, you know, we're not even aware of what's going on with the trillion cells that make us up as a single body. We're never alone because we have all of our cells, we have all of ourself to talk to. We are conscious. Every cell has its own consciousness. So yes, we are webs and webs of life, and we are intertwined, and that is why we have to be aware of how intertwined we are and how delicate, how fragile this web is, why we have to address climate change and our responsibility, what we have done to not, even if the climate had no changes, we have destroyed our soil, we have destroyed our air, and we have destroyed our water. Our oceans have dead spots in them where there's no oxygen and nothing can live. And they're created by man. These are lessons we have to learn en masse. And this is why we have to choose love. Because we cannot force truth upon people. Your heart has to be open. You have to be willing to hear your higher voice. You have to be able to tie into spirit. So, toward that end is why I am working toward December 21st and a mass global meditation to affect the globe. We want people all over the world involved. And we want them to get their friends involved. We want everybody online here on the 21st. As many people as can get in the room. And as we have seen with gamers, there's plenty of room. It's about the meditation. It's not about, like, you don't have to talk. You don't have to follow the show. It's nothing like that. I mean, you're already followers, and I can tell you. But you can be a listener and not a follower and still show up for the meditation. All you got to do is show up and participate in the meditation in your own home. Yes. There is no one pat answer, Dina, because there is no one lesson being taught or sought. We are intertwined. Love is the only real power. But here we see dichotomy, and we're creating greater dichotomy. The problem is in our acceptance of anger as a power. We're using rage, anger, all of the things that are not meant to be there, but a little bit, just enough to keep us motivated in making things for ourselves, better for ourselves too. Everything is a learning process. That doesn't mean we're not going to be tired of some things. We don't have a purgatory in reality the way Christianity has created one. The thing that you must remember, though, is as there are many levels of reality that we cannot see here, there are also levels of reality to our higher existence. And the more we try to create certain systems and insist on their being, again, it's a control thing, they are creating a thing. And when you create something, it takes energy to undo it. So what we are in the process of doing right now is undoing what we have created here. Because a lot of the people that are here now were there to create it in the first place when it started. All right, everybody's had a hand in it, without understanding what it was leading to. Everything we do is not with foreknowledge, except for what we've gotten from the past. So it's not we're predicting. Well, we can predict some things, but it's not because it's written in stone. We are here to change whatever we think is, whatever trajectory we're on, we can change. That's the whole point of having a meditation that's on a global scale. We are trying to undo several things, which I'm going to be answering on TikTok. Believe it or not, I'm making some statements as a speaker, and those will be posted. So if you want to follow the old lady or old lady giving advice, or the old lady giving advice, I'm not sure, but you'll recognize me. There's only one up. It's the first excerpt from a show that our very own Meg video edited. So I'm going to be doing like shows, like regular shows. I'll put them up on Facebook so she can take little 3-minute segments and post those. Because I really, I mean, I can do the card of the day, but depending on what the card of the day is, usually our discussions go longer than 3 minutes, especially if there's someone here that got a card that we never had before, or it's their first time. You know, we want to be clear on the concept and then how it applies to you as personal, whether it applies to you or not. So somewhere in there is a TikTok. So if you're not following the TikTok, I will ask you to do that. Meg is taking care of it for me because I'm a complete idiot when it comes to that stuff. It's amazing I remember to get here and do this show. I do this out of love, you know that. But when it comes to editing of any kind, it makes me crazy. And yeah, I can throw paint to the canvas, but I am not good at digital stuff anymore. I used to be okay in the 80s and 90s when I had a desktop and I did a lot of stuff. But now it's like, I kind of got discouraged from the whole thing when I couldn't open up my own laptop and do my own cleaning, and everything is so compact in there. It was a little overwhelming for me. I felt intimidated, to be honest. And I cannot keep up with you kids. There's so much, you know, just in gaming. Oh my God. Doesn't game consoles. How many of those are in existence now, you know? So like, I don't know. Wait a second, let me see if I've got, I may have it as a, matter of fact, I should have saved it, right guys? I would have it as a book. Hold on. Surely I have it. Oh, I do have an art link here now. If you type exclamation point in the word art, it'll bring you to where my art's on display. Oh, whoop, just display the whole page. Hold on. Let's try again. Come on, TikTok. Did you find it? Oh, thank you. Yeah, you're following, right? Right. Okay. I didn't save it. Silly me. Add bookmark. Yes, your favorite O.L.G.A. She's so sweet. I gave her free rein to say, unless, you know, I see something I don't like, but yeah, she's so cool. Look what she did. She's awesome. So yeah, that's it. Our first one. Thank you so much, Oink. That's good to know. Oh, do you? It's a harmless one enough. Here's my lip stuff. Okay, let's see. It is 3:10. I actually have to follow a bit of a schedule because I'm on medicine, which requires a full stomach to tolerate. So I am going to make my call to the doctor and get my video link for Monday. Oh my God, that long? Yeah, I have done that with YouTube. I don't know if I've gone as long as 3 hours, but because I can't sit that long, but I've definitely gone from, oh God, if I'm down for any reason, that's when I have to see little baby animals, or you know, animals that get along with different species of animals. It's like, oh yeah, I need a few of these, and crying from gladness and love. And then when I'm like that, I'm okay again. Old lady giving advice. Oh, thank you. What did I say? Little old lady? I think that might be my other handle. Thank you so much for joining us and adding your wisdom to the stream. December 21st, 11 a.m., the winter solstice, when the light is the greatest on the planet. We're going to take advantage of that higher vibration and add to it. So we're winding up to it. So I will be back to paint. Give me at least 45 minutes so I can take care of some business and probably get out of something here. It's a summer dress. It's a favorite. I don't want to ruin it for next summer. But it's been raining on and off, and it's going to rain for the next 24 hours. So I'll be back. Okay, you run your errands. I will run my errands. I'll be back here. When you next see me, I'll be painting, and I'll be invisible. You'll only see my hands and ink. So have a lovely afternoon, my darlings, and I'll see you again soon.